Good morning. This will be one funny and significant clip. I'm addressing myself to all of you who has come from Arab civilization to my country, to my part of the world, to my civilization. I may not look to you right now like a representative of European, Northern European, Protestantic, post-Christian, secular civilization. But I do. And I'll tell you why. What I'm holding up to you right now is the cane used by my recently deceased father. And the sword, my sword, by means of which I am committed symbolically to defend my heritage. My heritage is eclecticism. This is why I can stand here before you dressed in a galabeah from the Arab world, and why I can have a Jewish menorah right behind me, and yet feel like a full-fledged representative of Sweden in 2016, with all its past, with all its traditions. It's not a contradiction. And you know why? Because Swedish culture is a living culture. It has the ability, and has had that ability all along, to absorb influences from throughout the world. See, that's the secret of European civilization. So we're open-minded, we're inquisitive, we're inventive. So, with full respect, it's not cultural appropriation. It's a way of enriching the world by taking what is best from each and every culture, race, and nation, and to integrate that into our self-identity. See, it's not a problem for me to be dressed like where you come from. It's not a problem to me at the same time to honor my father by carrying his cane, or by showing you symbolically that I'm willing to defend my cultural heritage with my life, with my blood. You should like that. In fact, you should appreciate that. And just like your culture has its flaws, my culture has its flaws. We're deeply, deeply wounded by secular humanism. Yet, without secular humanism, we would not be able to harvest the fruits of our experience, because fruits can only be harvested when they are ripe. And how do fruits ripen? By the forces of death. Sometimes you rally that you don't see how you can lose the war, the clash between civilizations, since you, and I quote many of your warriors here, love death more than they love life. You're right in that we are not a death-loving culture. And that is our Christian heritage. The idea that the divine has incarnated into the human being, has become a human. And that's the whole narrative of Jesus Christ, and you're aware of that. Has incarnated into human being so that the human being the human experience will realize its own divinity. The mystery of incarnation. That there is something divine and transcendent, and something temporal and terrestrial, and that there is a connection between those two in the human form, in human life, in human dignity, in human freedom. See, that's why you disagree. Because you think obedience is the key. That the true freedom comes through obedience to divine law as described in a book. We can never accept that. We think that is utterly childish, and it's a concept and a philosophy that is fit for a childlike mentality that we no longer have. We've since long, and this is not arrogance speaking, it's maturity speaking, we have since long outgrown the mentality of obeying a book or obeying any given code of behavior, mental behavior, social behavior. We feel responsible for those codes. We feel like co-creators in an open, vital dialogue with our forefathers. We create our social codes, our moral codes, our relationship to ourselves, each other, the divine, the past, and the future. You have arrived, being migrants from wherever you come in the Mideast or in the Arab world, you have arrived in a part of the world where you do not recognize the cultural codes. What you see here, and I understand that very well, what you see here is decadence. You see a lost bunch of godless souls trying to survive, getting their 15 minutes of fame, getting their 70 some years of life, trying to squeeze in one extra sandwich, one extra free beer before the old age home and a death in morphine-soaked solitude. That's what you see. And I get that. I see that too. You may be here to save the world from this godless culture and replace it with your own perpetual system, Sharia code of how one should live a life. But that would retard humanity. We will not let that happen. You don't know how we will stop you. Now you laugh because you say, that's true because you don't know how you will stop us. So how can we know? And I'd say, yeah, but that's okay. You know why? Because we have inner freedom, and that makes us intuitive. Intuitions are givings from the future. The future belongs to the intuitive. The past is the prison of the obedient to scripture, obedient to dead forefathers, obedient to a thought up divinity. I think it's so beautiful in Arab culture that you don't like music, or that you have this ambivalent relationship to music. We love music. And you say, music gives the illusion of the freedom of the soul. It makes human beings revolutionary, disobedient. They can dance and move around as though there were no severity, as though there was no afterlife, as though there was no tomorrow. You think this is unwise. It is. But you know what it is? It's wisdom in the making. It's intuitive. It opens us up to a future order of the soul and of the world that we cannot even fathom. We're not stuck in our scriptures. And we have no intentions on getting ourselves stuck in your scriptures. If you want an Islamic civilization, go ahead and have that wherever you came from. If you want to be in Sweden, be Swedish. You can adopt yourself to Swedish culture, but then you have to be humble. As of now, for the most part, what I see is arrogance. You think that you have God. But listen, who can have God? Isn't this the utter blasphemy to think that you have God? That makes you bigger than God, doesn't it? Shame on that. If you wish to be welcome to the country into which my father migrated, the country that I'm committed to defend, I will welcome you with open heart and open hands. But then you better chip in. Learn a language. Get to work. Don't victimize yourself. Don't accept welfare. Do not be a parasite. Adopt or seek your fortune elsewhere. I say this in love. I say this in respect. And I know that you get that. So, have a good day.